Hello everyone, you are watching Code with Shubhajit, and today we have a very famous lead code problem which is merge intervals. It is a medium level problem and today we will be solving it. Okay, so let me give you an example that what this problem is all about. So we will be having intervals in the form of arrays of arrays. So we have an array in which each of the elements is an array having two values, start and end. This start and end will actually denote the start and end of the whole interval. The focus on the problem should be to merge the intervals whichever overlap. Okay, so if I take this example only 1 to 3 and then 2 to 6. Okay, so you can see that 3 surpasses 2, right? So 1 to 6 becomes a whole interval now. We have 8 to 10 and we have 15 to 18. So 8 to 10 doesn't have any sort of overlapping with these two, and 15 to 18 also doesn't have any overlapping between other two intervals. Okay, so the three intervals which we have will be 1 to 6, 8 to 10 and 15 to 18. Let's take the another example. We have 1 to 4 and then 4 to 5. So 4 and 4 both are overlapping point to point, just point to point. That is also taken as overlapping. Okay, if it would be 1 to 4 and let's say 5 to 9, then 1 to 4 is a different interval, 5 to 9 is a different interval. But in this case, as they are same, they will be taken as the same intervals. So in this case, 1 to 5 is the final interval which we'll be having. Okay. Okay, let's go to the OneNote now. And okay, before that, I just want to say that the return type is an array of array, which is the same as whatever intervals we have. Just we have to return the merged form of these intervals. Whoever is overlapping, we need to merge them. Okay, let's see here. Okay, before going into the logic and the flow, how it happens, how the things are going on, I just want to explain you that the examples which we have taken here are actually sorted by their first number: 1, 2, 8 and 15. They are sorted in increasing order. Okay, here also 1 and 4, they are sorted in increasing order. This is maybe a chance that it has happened in the example, but if you see all the test cases when you are gonna run that solution and submit that solution, that they can be in any order. It's not that they will be sorted every time. Okay, maybe 15 18 will come before 1 3. So that's the case. So you have to also keep that in mind while solving the problem. So this problem which I have taken them sorted with respect to the first element of the every interval. So 2, 4, then 7, then 12 and then 14. Can you see that? But they can be in any order. So which comes to the point that our first work is to sort the uh, intervals, and we have to sort them with respect to what? With respect to first element. Okay, with respect to the first element. Okay, apologies for the handwriting. So yeah, so when that is done, you can see that there is a visual representation here which shows the intervals one after the other based on the sorting of their first values. Okay, now let's run through the logic, okay, which we have. Before that, I just want you to explain how the intuition is coming. Okay, for the sorting part, it's quite obvious. Why? Because if that is not sorted, if these things are not sorted, then you will not be able to traverse them one after the other and can check the overlapping. Because let's say if 12 14 is before this 2 5, then how are we gonna check that what all overlapping is done with others? If they are in sorted order, then only we can check properly. Okay, this is there, and I know that definitely the interval after that will be a bit more. After that will be a bit more. So in that case, we can check, okay, is there any overlapping here? Okay, that's the scenario. Okay, now we will be having a for loop, and in that we will go through the whole intervals array which we have after sorting, and every interval element will be having interval, let's say, as I, for now I of 0 and I of 1. For this interval 2 to 5, I of 0 is 2, I of 1 is 5. for this 4 and 10, for this 7, 9, and so on. Okay. So I will be running a for loop on the intervals. Okay, fine. Now, once I am doing the for loop for each interval, okay, for each interval like this, what I will be checking that the second element of this interval, that is the end element, what's relation with the first element of the next interval. So I'm just giving you the intuition now. I'm just giving you the intuition here, what is happening. So in this case, if you see that 5, this 5 is greater than 4 of next interval, in that case, we can see that, okay, there is an overlapping. Okay, there is an overlapping. So let's say if in the final merged interval, we have a start currently, I'm just creating the solution now. And I will just join all the dots at the end and you will be able to understand. So we have a start variable which we will be initializing with this initial member, first interval's first element. We will be initializing it with 2. Let's say, okay, now we are over the for loop. Okay, so now there is an overlap we can see. As there is an overlap, we will check that is this 10, is it greater than 5 or less than 5? So here the 10 is greater than 5. Okay, so uh, for this iteration of the for loop, we will make the end as 10. Okay, we will make the end as 10. Okay, now we will go to the next iteration. So now this is done. Now we are here. So currently in the final merged array, we have a start, we have a end. That is 2 to 10, we have an interval now, but still we haven't logged it. We will log it at a condition when our 10 will be lesser than, next element's smaller element, that is 7. But in this case, it is not. If let's say this 7 to 9 interval was not there and 12 to 14 was there, then in this case, we will be logging an interval of 2 to 10. And then we will be moving from 12 to something, whatever. But now it's not the case, right? Now it's not the case. So let's take it as merged interval. This is the merged interval array. Okay. Currently, we are still searching for more merging. Now we can see, okay, we have a 10. Okay, what's the next element? The next elements first is 7. Okay, okay, great. So we will see, is this 10? Is this 10 greater than 7? Yes, 10 is greater than 7. Okay, so in it means that there is an overlapping. Okay, now we will check whether the 9, that is the interval which we are checking, the second element of that, is it greater than 10 or not? If it is not greater than 10, in that case the end will be 10 only, we will not update it. But if let's say it is not 9, it was 11, then we have to update the end to 11 because it has surpassed that. Okay, but in this case, as 10 is the largest element among them, the end will be 10 only. Okay, that's fine, that's still fine. This is also done. Now the iteration goes to this interval. Now we have 12. So can you see this 12 and 10 when they are compared? So just you should understand that we are comparing the end with the next interval's first value. Okay, now is 10 lesser than, is 10, sorry, is 10 greater than 12? No, 10 is not greater than 12. In that case, we can say that, okay, the interval came to an end and we will log the start and end as the interval. What is the start? Start was 2. What is the end? End was 10. So this is logged as an interval, merged interval, comma. Now I will be having one more interval and the new interval is this as start and this as end. Okay. Now I will be running through with this start and end from the next interval. Now we come in this interval. You can see 14 and 14, they match. So when they match, there is an overlap. Now we will check 17. Is 14 greater than 17? No, it's not the case. 17 is greater, right? So the end will actually update from 14 to 17. Okay. And now we have the start as 12 and end as 17. Okay. And if you can see that this is the last element, and then we will go out and the for loop ends. But this one is not logged, right? This last one was not logged. The last start and end pair was not logged. So after coming out of the array, we will be logging the last start and end inside our final merged array. So this is our final merged array, this one. Okay, 2 to 10 and 12 to 17. I hope you are able to understand the explanation. I have also took an example which will actually solve all the test cases. In a sense, it will also solve this just point to point overlapping. It will also solve when one interval is completely inside another interval. What's the scenario? I have also covered when it is a partial overlap, like only one side it is overlap, the other sides are open. This is full overlap. Okay, that scenario I have taken. And I also have taken this scenario as well, when there is no overlap. 10 to 12 there is no overlap. When there is no overlap, then start and end are logged and a new start and end is created, and that will be logged once uh, again I will say the either the array ends or else there is no overlapping. Okay, so I hope you have understood the explanation, and let's go to the solutions part. And before that, there are only two steps. First is sorting the intervals with respect to the first element, and second is running a for loop over the intervals. And these all conditions I will be writing in the code and explaining you along with that. But hope you have understood this. Okay, now let's go to the code section. Okay, so our first step should be sorting the array of intervals, and our next step should be running a for loop over intervals. Okay, so how will we do the sorting part? There is a function for that, arrays.sort. Okay, but arrays.sort intervals. But here we have to understand one more thing. We have to sort the array in a way that it will be sorted with respect to the first value of each interval. Okay, it will be sorted based on the first value of each interval. So if you see here, can you see that 2, 4, 7, 12 and 14? If we are going the other way around, if we are sorting it with respect to the last element, then the direction will not be like this. Then it will be 17, then 14, and then 10 will come, and then 9 will come, and then 5 will come. So this here the order will change. Here the order will change. Okay. So I don't want to make this more dirty. It has already become. So I hope you have understood that we have to sort with respect to the first values. So for that, what we can do, we can take val1, we can take val2. Uh, so this is an arrow function which you are passing, and you can actually uh, see that uh, in some article that let's take it as interval 1 and interval 2. It will be more like the naming will be more intuitive for you. So the interval 1 and interval 2, and we will be returning based on the first element of intervals. Uh, interval 2 0. So here you can see that interval 1 0 minus interval 2 0. So based on the, so this interval is having two values, the start and the end for each interval. And what we are doing, we are taking the first element of that is the start value. So we are actually sorting it with respect to the first value of the every interval, that is the start of each interval, which was our use case. Okay, once sorting is done, we are ready with our logic. So what we will be doing for storing this array, right? For storing this, we need to create some space for that. So how will we gonna do that? We will be taking an array list of integers. So basically I am taking an array list. Array list is kind of an array only, array of integers. Okay, so array of something, and this something is an array of integers only, so which I will be converting to this at the end. But why I'm taking this? So that some of the operations which I will be doing will be easy for me. That's why I'm doing, nothing else. Let's take this as answer is equals to new array list. Okay, so once this is done, we will be initializing the start and the end values, which will be the intervals of 0 0, and let's take it in the next line. Intent is equals to intervals of 0 and 1. That is the first interval's zeroth value, first interval's first index value. That is the start and end of an interval. Okay, we are taking it as start and end of the first interval's value. That's it. Okay, so I will be running a for loop, but this for loop will start from 1 as we have taken the start and end with the first interval. So we have that. The start and end we have taken as the first interval. Now from the second interval we will start comparing with respect to that. Okay, so I is less than intervals dot length and I plus plus. Okay, now our logic starts. So here we have to check. So what we have to check? Can we see again? So can you see this part, this part? We have to check, and here our index I is there, and this is the end currently. Okay, this is the end currently. So we will check that whether this intervals of I0 is it lesser than or equal to end. Okay, we will check that. Intervals of I0, is it lesser than equals to end? If that's the case, it means there is an overlap. But before that, we also need to check this condition, because it might be the case that, see, if you see here, let's take it blue, it's fully overlapped with this above, right? This 4, 10, 7, 9 is fully overlapped inside that. So we have also to see the condition that whether the intervals of I1, is it also lesser than or equals to end? Actually, I will not be changing the end. So what I will be seeing, I will be searching for greater than, because if intervals I1 is greater than end, then only I will be changing the end to intervals of I1. Else I will not, because else the end will be as it is. So in this case, as end was as it is, which is 10 in this case. Okay. Okay, so this if condition ends, and then I will go to the else condition. What's there in the else condition? So inside the else condition, we are coming because this condition haven't passed. It means that we are not having a overlap if we are coming inside the else condition. Okay, because our intervals of I0 is greater than end, which is the scenario here. If you say, we have the scenario as, yeah, after this 10, can you see we have 12, 14, and that is something which is not overlapping. So in that scenario, what we will do, we will be logging the start and end, present start and end, whatever we have till now. So I will be adding that as a new integer array, and I'm doing it like this: start and end. Okay, this is the format of doing this. So inside the answer, this answer is the array of arrays. So I was telling now why I was using array list. I was using array list to use this add functionality. Okay, and at the end, I will be converting this array list of int into this int of array of array. Okay, so this is done. Once this is done, then I need to initialize my start and end to new values, which is the present intervals I0 and present intervals I1. Yeah, okay. So our for loop should be working fine. Now, as I have mentioned, that the last start and end are not logged. So we have to again add the last line as this after coming out of the for loop. The last start and end are not logged because they came out of the loop, right? They came out of the loop. If you see here, if you see here, the last this 12 to 17 thing, this 12 to 17 thing as start and end, they are not logged because we came out of the loop. Okay, and once that is done, I think if you do a dry run with some different example, you will be able to understand why at the end we are coming out and then we are adding the start and end. Okay, once that is done, we can actually convert this array list of integer array to int array of array. Okay, so how are we going to do that? There is a method to that. We can do answer dot to array, and inside that we can have new int 0, and we can left this as it is, and this will actually convert the merged intervals array, this is the merged intervals array, into an this format, this one, which we are actually looking for, this one. Can you see? Okay, so we can just return that. Okay, we can just return that. Okay, so why we have taken 0 here? When we take a 0, it means we are taking the size as 0. Okay, and when the size is 0, the two array method will actually take the size of the answer and then will create a new array. So in that case, we are ensuring that every time we are creating a new array of the size which answer has. So it's a dynamic. So it's dynamically created. So we don't need to actually specify the actual size. As we are specifying 0 and the 0 is lesser than the uh, like the size of answer. So that's why it will be creating a new array. And that's why we are using new int 0 because we are forcing to create a new array again. And that's how the solution is. Okay, so let's run this solution and see that is it passing through or not. Okay, we have made some mistake. It's in line number 4. So I think I have missed a semicolon here. Okay, anything else interval? Okay, I can see one more mistake. Interval. This should be V is missing. Now let's run this again. I hope it should be fine now. Interval 1, interval 2. Yeah. So both the test cases are passed. Now it's your job to submit it and see if all the test cases pass, and if not, try to change the code to make it pass. But I hope it will. And I hope you are able to understand this. I will highly encourage you to please solve this problem on your own without looking at the solution. What you can do is first dry run with some 2 3 examples as I have done here. Don't make it that dirty, please. It's just for explanation. And then with those, try to come up with the solution. Okay, and then try to submit it and let all the test cases pass. Then you will be able to understand it. I hope that was helpful. Share, comment, like, whatever you like to do. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot.